everybody. Welcome back. Today I have Andrew Johnson, J6 defendant, hopefully not political prisoner. We don't want that. But he's here to talk about, what you've gone through, Andrew, what you're going through, what's ahead of you, and what's really cool is that we get to talk about stuff that that's going on right now. Like you guys are looking at video, which we're going to show here soon. But first of all, anyway, welcome. Thank you for coming on, and I can't wait for everybody to get to know you. It's been such a pleasure for me. So
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's get into it. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's start there so everybody gets to know you a little bit, and what struggles you've gone through as far as this whole J6 bullshit.
Yeah.
Let's
well, I mean, I think I might be one. There might be another guy, but I think I'm one of the only, maybe of two people that have been arrested twice over January 6th, because I was arrested that day.
Right.
It was later in the day. They kettled us. There's actually video of this online, and we can put the link in, where they tell us to leave that day. This is about 6:37 p.m. But they surround behind us while they're telling us to leave, that way. We turn around and go that way, and there's cops just linked and blocking you. And I'm on video asking them 3 times, am I being detained? No. Am I under arrest? No. Am I free to go? No. I said, all right, well, you got to answer yes to one of those questions. You can't answer no to all those questions.
Right.
I think the Patriot Act might have been used that day, honestly, based on how he answered me. And I said, just in case you didn't hear me, I'm going to ask you again. And I did it 2 more times. Fox News got the audio. I actually have the video for it. And he told me I wasn't being arrested, wasn't being detained, and was not free to go 3 times in a row. And so I said to him, well, I feel like I can just walk right through you right now, and you're not allowed to touch me, but I'm not stupid enough to even put a pinky on you guys, because I know obviously what we've seen. There's a guy that actually swung his fist at a cop and never hit him, but was arrested for assault. He never even touched him.
Wow.
So I knew that day, the whole day, inside the room, out, touch a police officer ever, because you can't touch people.
Right.
That's battery, assault. So the crazy part is, I really thought that day, it's kind of funny. I really thought I was going to like some re-education camp. The way I was treated on the bus. Did I show you that clip?
Yeah.
I think I sent it to you.
We'll put that video in there.
Me.
We'll put that video in.
Yeah. We get on the bus, and this guy's like telling everybody to put their mask on, and I'm like, I'm already under arrest. You're not making me wear a mask, So, but I did tell him I have a doctor's note, which I did, in my phone in my pocket. I can't wear a mask, right? And I had an exemption during COVID. I flew without a mask the whole time. I had an exemption from wearing it on airlines. He didn't care. He pulls my gaiter up my face 3 times. I work it down with my mouth. I put my tooth so he couldn't get it up again. I bit the corner of it, and he yanks it so hard he almost ripped my teeth out. But he pins it to the top of my head, and I rode like that an hour to a police academy. People think we got processed like at a PD. I think not enough people know that we didn't even get processed at a PD. They didn't even take pictures of my tattoos that day. You got the worst thing since 9/11, right?
Right.
It's the worst terrorist attack since 9/11. But you didn't take pictures of my tattoos when you processed me? Like, what the hell is that?
That makes no sense.
None at all. So
and there was about 30 people on that bus with you, weren't there?
Yeah, there were 2 buses, maybe 3. There was in between 30 and 60 people. We were the first ones arrested that day. But when we got to the police academy, it was all really odd. We stood in this line, and there were picture, like a middle school desk where there's a chair and a
Connected to
little
the,
table on it.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's like 10 guys, older men, sitting at these desks about 4 feet apart, and there's these little squares already drawn up on the ground, and they're in front of each one. And as we got brought in, we we had to stop with the officer that held our arm, and stop right in front of each one, and they looked up at us and they looked down at their computer. I don't know if they were going through footage from that day or something like that, but we maybe six, it might have been six desks, but either 6 to 10, and we went one at a time, and then they processed us through. What we were told on the bus is that we were being arrested for curfew violation. And there's video, actually I can't share it yet because it's sensitive, but um, there's video I can tell you because I'm a witness to the situation. um, we were told we were arrested for curfew violation, and we get on the bus, and they fill out this little paper that has no name on the top of it. It was almost like it was a police trainee paper, right? And I have video of it where, you know how legal papers have to have a document name, right? And
Yeah.
there's no document name. And I asked the guy on the bus, I said, "Can I see that paper? What's the name of that document?" And because he was trying to get our name, phone number, email, and fill it all out. And I asked him what I was being arrested for. He said, "For curfew." So I said, "Well, am I even really arrested? Because isn't a curfew a fine? Like, am I really under arrest right now?" Am I under arrest?
You're under arrest, yeah.
For what?
It's a curfew violation.
I'm just asking, like, am I really under arrest?
Yes.
Or is it a fine?
You're under arrest. I'm just putting everything I'm asking you for is on this paper. That's it.
Can I see the name of the paper?
Yeah. Are you gonna give me your last?
Right.
And I didn't realize all this until I went back and watched it. So then we get to the police academy, and they changed it to breach of grounds, kind of like you didn't get arrested in Walmart for not wearing a mask, but you got arrested for trespassing because you didn't leave
Right.
when you weren't wearing a mask. Same kind of thing, I think happened. So we get to the police academy, and nobody gets a phone call. They stick us in these 3 different rooms that are like have these gym pads in them. And then when we're going on our way to the actual DC lockup, they separated us into 2 lines. There were a line of about 30 people on the left and 30 people on the right. And the line on the left, we were watching pay $25 either with cash or their debit card at a little desk, like right before the exit, and they were paying their fine and leaving, right? So I looked over at the property, and it said Johnson, it said lockup. So there was an officer kind of making sure the lines were straight. I said, "Hey, why are those people in why are they paying money and going home, and why are we going to lockup?" And he said, "I think it's guilty by association." And I'm like, "What do you mean associate? What's it?" I showed up alone. I showed up with a few family members, and I'm not associated with anything. I
Right.
came to protest on my own. So he said, "I don't know." He shrugged his shoulders. That's when we went to lockup. Roach infested. Lockup was really weird. There was who I think might have been some type of CI plant between me and my friend that I showed up with. They came down to get him from 11 p.m. to about 3 a.m. They came down to get this guy for like 15 minutes at a time. Because people were awake and talking and stuff. And it seemed like he was reporting to somebody in a different, and I think his name is Pruitt. If you look up the name Pruitt, look up his name. He's got a tank top and a bald head. I think some of these people were either in jail before January 6th, and it's just my opinion. It's like I can't prove any of this yet, but part of me feels like from the whole experience in that room, and then on the bus with I'm going to a police academy, and the paper is like a drill paper, and almost like training the police.
Where were you
And
locked up?
I was locked up the night of January 6th till about 7 p.m. the next day.
But they took you from the police academy, or did they lock you up
In
at the police academy? They locked you up there,
there was no cells at the police academy.
right?
They put us on they put us on a paddy wagon, and they took us to DC lockup. Yeah.
So to the
So
gulag.
no, it wasn't. I don't think it was the gulag. It was
Oh.
some holding
Some satellite thing.
for people that were. It might have, I think it was for people that were going to court or like through Zoom. This was during COVID. So we went into another room and we had a little video in front of us. The funny thing is they got my middle name wrong. So most of the articles, I handed the guy my ID, and most of the articles say Andrew Ball Johnson, Baul, but my middle initial is a P. So a lot of the articles first written when I got arrested, my first court documents didn't even have my real name on them. And that was one of my arguments with my lawyer. I'm like,
Right.
well, how can I even really be arrested if that's not my name? You know,
Right.
I handed them my ID, and I don't know, they changed it, I guess. But I've been through 3 attorneys, and that's what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you if we can get some man, this is that kind of laughable. But let me try to get. Can I do a screen share real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This is my second lawyer right here. My first lawyer was amazing. Peter Odom was awesome. Curfew. So this exchange from between me and Heather Shaner. She's a public defender, and this is what she believed about January 6th. Look at this. There are 3 known organization groups. Well, 4 if you add the KKK. Both Keeper Super Center Proud Boys. So she adds the KKK to the groups that were there, right? Then
Right.
she goes on and tell me, BLM is not an organization. Neither is Antifa. No membership, no members, no leaders. So she's basically saying Antifa's an idea. She
Right.
sounds like she watches CNN,
Right.
right? And I'm like,
And
oh,
I'm sorry,
man,
aren't there
how are you
people
going to represent me at trial?
Yeah, are there people making like millions and millions of dollars off of BLM? Like that's
Yeah, well,
what
it
I'm
was started
hearing.
by two females that took.
Right.
They actually got donations from communist leader from, was it Cuba? Their funding is like Soros and from a lot of really odd people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is what I was told by my second lawyer. Check this out. So I wanted to submit for 3 years. I've wanted to submit motions ever since it all started, because I believe truly, just from my experience in that room, which I call the sting room, break room, kind of like their break sting room.
Well,
I've
give
always,
everybody, hold on just a second, Andrew, give everybody a description of what you're talking about, because you say the room, I know what you're talking about, but
yeah.
where was this room and what do you mean by that?
Okay, so if you look at the West Terrace, the tunnel where the guy's got the ladder and swinging the hockey stick and all that, if you look to the left of that, look around there, that left window. That's what they're saying. The window I went through, the room I was in, and there's a lot of stuff in and around that room.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make any logical sense. Like, I'm open to being wrong about everything that I felt, and later confirmed when I got home through over like a year, seeing the video slowly come out.
Right.
It started matching with exactly what I felt when I was in that room. And let me ask you this, like, what were people trying to get in the tunnel for?
I have
Like,
no idea.
were they trying to go? So in my mind, well, at least for me, and if you think like when I watched the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, right? So when I've never been in the politics, and when I voted for the first time in 2016 for Trump, obviously, um, you know, you pay attention to the news and media for the first time, and you start realizing how it works and all that. But what I noticed was during these procedures and these public events that they have, like the Kavanaugh hearing or whatever certifications, I was under the impression that you can be in the building and protest against them. I thought that
Right.
was a thing.
Like they
So
would have sit-ins there or whatever,
I
right?
I had no idea. I thought it was a thing. I literally I showed up so late on the West Terrace. I didn't see one cop push a person. I didn't see any of the first breach. I didn't see any of the second West Terrace breach. I came in really late and I pushed aggressively all the way up to the window. I didn't even know that there were like scuffles that happened by the time I got there. So I'm standing there thinking, all right, well, I'm permitted to be here, right? And then people start scuffling around this window and they start kind of pushing, no, don't break the window. And some guy says, well, let's take a vote. Should we go inside the window or not? Whatever. So
No.
somebody breaks the window. And I don't know what if you know what it feels like to have about 100,000 people chant "We the people," and it runs through your soul and your spine. But I was in a super heightened state of emotion,
Yeah.
and when everything started happening, there was, and it just was like I became part of this ocean in a way, right? So when I went in, that's when it got really weird. As soon as I get in, and I can't share it yet, but there's video of it. I can tell you. Um, as soon as I got in, I'm on video saying, "Why is that door blocked? Where does it lead to?" And there's a desk, and it's all flipped upside down, and there's a desk blocking the door in this small little room, right? And as soon as I said that, everybody kind of started talking me out of it. Like, no, we don't want to go through the door. And but to me, I'm thinking, okay, Trump supporters that went inside. You couldn't get through the tunnel. You go through the window. Who the hell would go in a room and then block themselves in that room?
Right.
Why would you just block yourself in the room? Right?
Right.
Isn't the point, like they say,
To go through.
the point to going in was to interrupt a proceeding? All right, so how did anybody in that room have the goal of interrupting a proceeding if they block themselves in the room, right?
Right.
The whole 15-12 thing.
Right.
So that's when it started for me. The lack of logic started right there, where I'm like, okay, what's going on in this room? I'm starting to judge the room, and then another really odd thing happens. A guy splashes his face. I got to show you the footage. It's so odd. The guy that actually took the video of me going in, who is unidentified, even by the sedition hunters. This guy is unidentified. He took the video, and in my statement of facts, the angle of what I'm about to show you is the same angle from his camera, and he is responsible for my warrant. This guy is responsible for my warrant. He goes inside, and as soon as he gets in, he sticks his face out the window and he starts yelling, "More people! We need more people!"
More people! More people!
Right? Then he turns around, he stands up, and while Gina B, I forget her last name, is
Yeah.
hugging Mitchell Gardner, he just takes his water. He just goes and a stranger. Like he doesn't even, if you watch any video before this, they don't know each other. They don't talk. They're not near each
Right.
other. He just grabs his water and he splashes it on his face and he shakes his head like he was maced. But I have all the footage of the West Terrace. He was never maced. There was no mace
No.
anywhere near that window. It was about 50 to 60 feet away, and he didn't come from across. He came straight up,
Straight up.
right? So it all started feeling like a Hollywood staged event,
Yeah.
right? And then what made me leave, which I'm in the corner. There's actually a video of this too. And I asked the people started going back out. So I said, "Why is everybody leaving?" And they sort of got nonchalantly. You can hear with the audio. They go, "We're going to get guns." Yeah, fuck yeah, truckload. Let's go get a truckload. Yep, we're going to get guns. That's what we're doing. It was such a known thing in the room.
We need guns. We need guns. We need guns. Spread the word. You're talking about using lethal force. We need guns. We need guns. They can if they're labeled as anarchists and you're broken to the Capitol. No, listen. All right, well, I got a truck full. I'm going to get it. Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Alex,
Why are people leaving?
we're getting guns.
It
Yeah.
seemed really odd. And then
Yeah.
when I watch the footage from we're gonna have this link up, and everybody really needs to watch this. And this is another J6er who I'm not sure is an agent or some type of asset or not. I'm open to being wrong. But he gets on the windowsill and he tells the crowd, I have intel from inside this room, right? Gina confirms it with Andrew Morgan, the guy that's shooting the video, right next to the camo hat guy that splashes his face. They're like a team right next to each other. He says he's got to the crowd, I got intel from inside. They're labeling us as anarchists. They're thinking about using lethal force against us. We need to go get guns, right?
Guys! They labeled us as fucking anarchists! They're considering using lethal force against us! And they told us not to bring our weapons! They said this was what we're doing a fucking peaceful protest! And they're thinking about using lethal force against us! Stand with us, brother, not against us. Let me get down. Get down. They're gonna start shooting us? Listen, I just got intel. They are labeling us as anarchists. They are talking about using lethal force against us as we have stormed the Capitol. They are talking about using lethal force against you. Give me liberty! Give me liberty! Give me death! Listen. Hey, we want to hear Trump! We want to hear Trump! Listen, I will give you all the info you want to know if you'll just give me 1 second, please. I'll give you all the info you want to know if you'll just give me 1 second. He said, they said, they're going to use lethal force. What did you hear?
I heard that they were, but if we're Americans, we all need to stick together. Yes, I did.
Gina repeats that stuff.
She confirms,
right?
She confirms that she heard the intel from inside the room.
Right.
Mind you, I'm in the room.
Right.
That didn't happen in the room. I have video, and when I get my phone back from the government, I'll be able to 100% prove it.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, there was no cop in the room. The door was blocked. So where'd you get intel from? From Twitter? From your phone? Because you wouldn't have said from inside if it was from the internet, right? I get intel from inside. That doesn't sound like you're talking about Twitter. So he tells the crowd this almost to what seems like to me to incite. And then right after that, people kind of look around confused, like, what's going on? This guy is kind of calling for guns. It's kind of weird. That's not what a Trump supporter would even think about doing that day.
Right.
Nobody I met that day would have ever undermined the protest like that, right? So then he comes inside, and I forget his first name, Anthony, maybe Antonio. He's another odd character, where he's in front of the tunnel saying people are behind him. He turns around and goes, "Are you going to go in or what?" But then he doesn't go in with them.
Hey guys, are you going in or not? Are you going in? Go! Fresh people! Go! I want my tear gas!
And that same guy is right next to Ryan inside the room. And he announces, this man has intel from outside. So the intel to the people outside was coming from inside. And all of us that were inside, we were told the intel was coming from outside.
We can use this shit. Listen to this man! Hey, stop! This man has info from the outside. Listen to him. Hey, my father's...
That's
So-
so weird.
I'm telling you, it gets really weird. And
So
anybody,
now, you mentioned Ryan, so you mean Ryan Nichols, right?
Ryan Nichols, yep.
Okay,
He's I think he just actually got sentenced.
he did. I
And
think.
listen,
Yeah,
I've always told everybody, I don't give a shit about I'll hook up to a lie detector myself if people think I'm an actor. Because I know there were actors there that day. I felt it, and my intuition is rarely wrong.
Right.
But if I'm wrong about anyone ever, I'll apologize later. The more important thing is that January 6th gets told correctly, because if it's not, we don't have America anymore. If we let them write that day that the ones that want to save the country are the ones that are trying to hurt it, are the terrorists, then we're screwed. 100% screwed, because that's how you steal a country, is you turn the good guys into the enemy, the ones that will fight for it, and you demoralize the entire country, right? So all this petty stuff that J6ers argue about, that none of that matters to me. The only thing that matters to me is we get to the bottom of January 6th. We actually took the do critical thing logic video. We have body language experts come in. We have bomb experts maybe inspect the bomb, right? There's and that's another thing. I submitted a special discovery request. Actually, this is what I wanted to show you. Am I still sharing with you?
you are.
Can you can see that? Okay. So
Uh-huh.
this message is to my third PD, David Howard. And I told him I wanted to submit a change of venue.
And by
And I had a few other
by
motions I
PD,
wanted to submit.
PD, you mean public defender, right?
Public defender, yeah.
Okay.
And this is what he told me every time. Motion. If you guys but I'm not filing motions for you because I don't want to piss the judge off. I don't want to inconvenience the judge. And so your best odds are just shutting up and not filing anything and just taking and just be as less annoying as you can be. That's what I was told for 3 years, right? So eventually I had to drop him because just to get my motions filed. I couldn't even file a change of venue unless I dropped them. The judge wouldn't even let me. So I dropped them to file I filed 3 motions, and the judge denies the change of venue. And I have this screenshot too. I can put in the link. He says, because Johnson waited till the last minute, I'm denying it, which was out of my control. I was trying to get it motioned for years, right? But then I'm denied it because it's waited. I waited till the last minute. So, not file motion. Basically, I think they all pretty much put there to try to get us to plea. That way, their 99 point whatever conviction rate it isn't lowered. That's their only goal. Sick. Going through the actual system. I really thought our federal government was a lot smarter than they are. And then you meet the people that are working for it, and you're like, how do you work in such a high court? Like some of the judges, even. It's amazing how they're not that smart of people, a lot of them.
No,
And going through it, I'm just like, man, I wonder how many other people have been shafted by this whole it feels like a railroad system that they already have set in place, you know?
it is. It's a complete, it's a factory that is just, it's just working its way through everybody who
Yep.
goes through there. So, the attorneys, they're making money. You've got the judges, they're making money. The prison systems and the jails are making money. The marshal's office, the BOP, I mean, they're all making money and that's all what it's about. It's a human trafficking nightmare
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
going
wait,
on.
hang on. I just found something else. Okay, check this out.
Okay,
So let me just say this first. The attorney actually, um, they dropped 36 gigabytes of video on me 3 days before trial. And I stayed up probably, I think I slept like 6 hours in 3 days. And I was trying to go through all of it and build the case because I didn't know I was representing myself till he wouldn't file my motions. And,
right.
you know, so then I'm like, screw it. I got to do it in 3 days. And I was trying to do it. Everything I submitted was denied based on me not being in close proximity and not being in the video. But there's probably 80 to 90% of the government's video in my discovery that I'm not in and I'm not even close to. So they accepted the government's non close proximity that I'm not in videos,
Right.
but denied all of mine. And I just want to show you this right here. I don't know if you can see this
Yeah.
little, you see the arrow?
Uh-huh.
That's Ryan Nichols right there.
Okay.
Right. I just want to ask you, have you ever taken a selfie over your shoulder like that?
No,
So
not on purpose.
does it kind of seem like he's trying to get the people behind him and not himself in it?
Yeah, that's exactly what you do. Like when you
Yeah,
see a celebrity or something behind you and you're like, or you want to show what's behind you and you're
exactly.
trying to not act obvious about it.
Now check this out. That still image
Uh-huh.
or the video that it might come from was in my 36 gigabytes of discovery, but this is from my statement of facts. It's a screen grab from what led to my warrant. So how is there a image or video that led to my warrant? This is they basically are stripping my right to face my accuser.
Right.
They don't have his whole face here. I know who it is because I know what he's wearing and I've seen footage of it, right?
Right.
But their motions were, they said that this discovery was found from YouTube and other open source websites. So I'm like, no, you can't just find something on the internet because that is a huge vulnerability. And if that's
Right.
true, you're going to have this whole new wave of people that make these deep fake videos and
Right.
they're just going to present them in court. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It's going to happen eventually. But the government, when I told them, I said, when I got arrested for the second time, they swarmed my house with a SWAT team with AR-15s down the. I'm in a 55 and up neighborhood, flashing lights at 11 p.m. in these 90-year-old ladies' windows. So
Right.
I got kicked out of my place. I had to live in my van for like 9 months. Like it was shit. I lost so much work. I lost about 40 to 60 grand worth of work because everybody in the neighborhood that I got arrested in, that I volunteered for a month from Hurricane Ian and built my rapport and started getting word of mouth, jobs. They were, a lot of them from Massachusetts, so a lot of them were liberal. So
Yeah.
they just kicked me the hell out. But
Well, and even if they weren't liberal, they're older, they're scared,
yeah.
don't know what's going on. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So all of that being said, let me just go up here. This is kind of funny. This is what David Howard thinks of Donald Trump. Let me see if I can pull that up. He thinks that he's our Dennis Rodman. He thinks that Trump is conservatives' Dennis Rodman. He's a madman, but he's your madman. And it makes conservatives feel good that he runs off at the mouth. I mean, this is the type of TDS kind of,
Wow.
this is my attorney that I was expected to go to trial with, right?
Wow.
So I'm like, dude, how can you ever represent me at trial? Like you,
Right. That's, I mean, and
you
that's
do
kind
not
of,
align actually about Donald Trump.
I mean, he can't even hold it in.
No, no, he in this. There's a lot of them, and I'm gonna eventually share the entire. Let me just pause this because I know the video might be choppy. All right. So
Well,
you
and
see,
hold on
see
just a
me
second.
here with the glasses?
Yeah, hold on just a second. I want people to know though that your attorney is
Okay.
not like a unicorn. Like the only one that's doing this and that has,
No, like
Trump derangement
the attorney
syndrome.
before that said Antifa was an idea.
Right.
It was the first. My first attorney, Peter Odom, was a great dude. I love that guy. I wish I would have brought him in. But my two attorneys for this case, Peter Odom was my attorney for the curfew, which got thrown out. It was thrown out because they never told us that we were on the grounds. So the two attorneys after that, one thinks BLM's not an organization. One Antifa's an idea. The next one thinks Donald Trump is our Dennis Rodman.
Right.
He completely he said Trump riles my spirit. That's what he told me. And I got so many threads with
Yeah.
him. But
And so,
and
just,
that's why I eventually I'm
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
no, just so everybody knows, yeah, like it's just everybody that's had a public defender has pretty much gotten the same kind of treatment.
I would think so because
Yeah.
public defense is kind of a liberal thing, right?
Right.
It's you would think that there's not that many conservatives that work as public defenders. Maybe there are, but not as many. And my judge told me, you're not just going to cycle through attorneys till you find one you like. So he kind of limited me at David. When I requested a new one and I got David, he said, "Listen, I'm going to allow you to do this now, but you're not just going to be able to keep cycling through an attorney till you get one that you agree with. In open court. It's probably on transcripts.
You're not going to get,
Um,
I'm not going to allow you to get one that is going to defend you to their highest ability and
yeah.
and that he actually believes that you could, yeah, do something. Oh, so gross.
It's sick. Like everything that the whole process is sick to me. And then there'd be times in between the 3.5 years that you go through where you kind of life takes over, so you're not really thinking about it. But then you go to court again, and you're like, it just feels like everybody just wants to push you through the same way. I literally had my he told me, he said, well, I haven't had time to get in my motions. This was on April 2nd this year.
Uh-huh.
I said, the day I went pro se, I said, do you really expect me to get in all my motions and also prepare for trial by April 15th, or can I have more time? And he said, well, what kind of motions do you want to submit? I said, well, for one, change of venue. And he kind of laughs and goes, well, no other judges are doing that, so I'm not going to do that. And my question to him, not that day, obviously, I wasn't going to say it to him in court, but do you even run your court? Or do other attorneys' actions run your court? Who's in charge of your court? Are you basing your court off the norms of the? So how is there ever any change?
Right.
Or how do they get a fair fight? All judges, they don't want to be canceled by their side. or whoever they have lunch with every day. They don't want to be judged and all that. But you're telling me that you're not gonna approve my change of venue because nobody else has.
Right.
So are they running your court, or are you running your court? How about
Right.
you make a decision not based on other judges, right? I'm gonna go because it's the norm. I don't know. That really to me was hard to sit in front of and watch.
Yeah,
Instead.
you know, yeah, okay, so you may not, you know, you may not approve the change of motion, but I still need to file it. So in case it ends up, I don't know, in the Supreme Court or something, that we were all denied change of venue, I will get that opportunity to retry my case because I filed that motion. Like, that's a simple,
Yeah.
you should be able to file any
Yeah.
motion you want. He just doesn't want the extra work. Oh, it's so gross. And I hate, because
No,
I think what
he
kind of
did.
happened to you, like in the beginning, or in the last couple of years, is happened to a lot of J6 defendants where, their attorneys
I think so too.
kind of keep them out of what's going on. And they don't, I get a lot of people that I talk to that are like, Jen, my case is going to change it all. It's, I've got the case. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but we've seen that. I've sat in those courtrooms. I know you're not going to get heard. The judge is going to, not even going to allow this. And, and they don't know because they've been told to, stay out of anything
Well,
Jason.
even that day when I was that I showed up, I wasn't even given any witness testimony to cross examine with because I was pro se, and I'm like, how am I going to represent myself when I don't have even a piece of paper in front of me? I don't have like a folder with the statements that I can highlight. All of my videos were denied, so I'm sitting there, the morning of, and I'm like, I feel like I'm just going to sit in my chair and let them say whatever they want to me because
Right.
there's no videos I can even reference that I wanted to get in, and there's nothing that was allowed in for me to even go to trial, right? And
And now he's your side counsel, right?
yeah,
A bitter side counsel.
he was my side counsel that day, and actually American Summer, great freelance journalist, like he drove 3 hours with a notepad like an old school journalist to show up for my trial. And he told me, he said, dude, when you were pleading, he was ecstatic. His body language, he was skipping, he was floating. And I didn't see it because he's on my left. But then they get to the part of a plea where they say, all right, well, you got to agree. And he told me this before in the room. He said, they're going to say things that are factual. And if you don't say yes, your plea will not be accepted.
Right.
Right. So I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's go in there, get it over with. Because I feel like I'm losing my soul right now. And so we get in there. I almost called it off when I heard they started saying, well, you agree that you went up to interrupt the proceeding and yada yada. And I'm thinking that's a 1512. They're trying to get me to agree to a 1512 right now. And so I started shaking my head, and American Summer reported on this. I started shaking my head, and as I'm doing it, because of all of the political conversations I had with David, he already knew my personality. He knew I was like this close to going, all right, screw it, let's go to trial. Nope, not doing it, right? He grabs my arm. He grabbed my arm tight, and he said, do not make this a shit show right now. This judge, you are risking getting a harsher sentence if you turn this into a shit show. When he saw me shaking my head as they were telling me I had to agree to some 1512 thing. And so everything in court happens so fast, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
should I, shouldn't I? It was like fight or flight mode almost. And
who was your
so I
judge? You had both.
pled guilty.
Who
Boasberg.
was your judge? Boasberg, that's what I thought.
Yep, Boasberg. Yep. And what I was told about Boasberg is that he's lazy and doesn't. If you make his day longer or harder, he's going to take it out on you. And I'm like, all right, so is he enforcing justice or personal ego? Right? Like when I get pulled over by a cop,
Mhm.
why does the amount that I kiss your ass determine whether I get a ticket or not? Right?
Right.
Like, what are you really enforcing? What are you really enforcing? So same
Power.
all the way up to judges.
Power.
If you make him upset, if you make his day longer, why is that a thing? For one, that's
Right.
a huge human error. I think that needs to be fixed. That the way, for one, the judge should sit lower than us because they work for us. We should not be lower than the judge. We should not be looking up at a judge. They're human beings like us. They should be equals or maybe even lower than we are because we employ them. The only reason they have a job is because we agree to give consent to be governed to the government.
Right.
So why the hell am I lower than the judge? I'm not saying I should be higher. I'm not saying I'm better than people.
Nobody
But
should be
he needs
equal.
to be sitting there equal with me. It's all like a big intimidation thing.
It is.
And going through the federal system and seeing like just the people that work in it. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is how the actual highest courts in American government are ran. They need a major reboot.
Yeah.
They need some younger people in it for one. It's be a judge.
They need
There
term
should be people
limits.
that want to term limits, 100% term limits, because you got fresh meat. When you're a blackjack dealer at a casino, your first 4 years, you're more excited than your last 4 years, right?
Right.
So you need fresh meat in these courts because these people get stuck in the routine, and if you go against their routine, you're an asshole. Just like when you get pulled over, if you exercise your rights to a cop, you're a piece of shit. Oh, how dare you exercise your right?
Right.
They don't like that. And that's
Right.
the part of the system to me that is huge. It's just too much human error. For one, we need to figure out how to remove that somehow, because what I went through, I like, if we're paying for that as our justice system, I think it could be done way more efficiently. Way more efficiently.
You think about,
I
you're supposed to respect them, but because you're asking for your rights, you're disrespecting them, which makes no sense, right?
Exactly.
There should be it should be level. These people should not have this power. There's, I believe it's Judge Lambert. They've all run together, but I think it's Judge Lambert. He's like 1,000,000 years old, and it takes him like, when we're going to court, it's like, oh, it starts at 10. Yeah, but it's Judge Lambert, so get there at 10:15 because it takes him 15 minutes to get up to to his bench. And I mean, he'll fall asleep in there. They just
Really?
yes,
The judge falls asleep?
yes.
Oh my God.
It's awful.
Why isn't he fired yet?
He can't be fired. You know what happens? Congress is the only oversight on the judges.
You can't fire a judge?
Congress, no. They have
Wow.
to impeach them, and they won't impeach him. They can't even get their asses in the courtrooms to watch these trials. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's sick.
That's-
For one, it tells me we're arresting too many people, and maybe the judges need less of a workload and the cops need to do less arrests for dumb shit.
Yeah.
But on top of that, like, give them some days off, make them work every other week or
Well,
something.
see, and I mean, when they're 80 years old or whatever they are, like, why are they not retiring? Why are they still sitting on the bed? Because that shows to me that that's a power, they love the power and they want to stay on there, and that's all that is. It's ego and power. It's a power grab. But we should definitely have term limits.
Yeah, I agree. I agree
And-
100%.
And
And
all of
if
these
a
judges.
judge falls asleep during my case should be thrown out immediately.
Uh-huh.
You
Yeah.
should just win your case.
Yeah,
He fell asleep while he's judging it.
yeah.
That's insane to me.
Well, I've seen jurors sleeping. I mean,
Yeah.
there was one was it a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember whose it was, but I think it was Rebecca Lorenz,
Yep.
the grandma, right? We went
Yep.
in there and we go in, there's 8 Black people in her jury and 5, they have the one extra, right? So, and 5 white or other. And they're sitting there judging this grandma from, middle America. And nothing these are her
Yeah.
peers.
No,
These
it's
are
not,
her
but it's
peers.
not her peers. And that's
No.
why I tried to change a venue. It's not your
There's
peers.
there's one of the guys, he's got his hoodie on and he's like this. And
In
just
court?
yeah. Like
But
this.
I was told to take my hat off when I entered. I actually I entered Boasberg's room and it like just not even thinking. I had my glasses and hat still on. But this guy's a juror and he's got his hoodie on.
Yeah. We were
That's-
like, what the heck?
That's such a joke. It's
And you
such a
got other
joke.
ones that are just, I mean, they're not even listening. They're not,
Yeah, and these are people's livelihoods and freedoms that they're responsible for,
correct.
along with the judges that have like the judge's wife could have screwed somebody that looks like me the night before,
Right.
right? And then secretly he just hates my face.
Yeah.
But technically he could say, I just don't like this guy. I'm going to hold him in contempt and put him in jail. He has the right to do that.
Yeah.
That is too much power for a judge. That needs to be changed. I don't know what governors or senators or how it has to be passed, but the judges have too much power in the courtroom.
It's
You don't
called.
you don't got a 1A. You don't have the First Amendment in the courtroom, but the courtroom is in America. So you do have the First Amendment in the
Right.
courtroom. You know what I mean?
Unless you do a really deep dive and you realize that DC is not part of the United States
That's what a lot of people told me before I went. They said it.
corporation.
So if they're a company that we're paying to put us in jail or give us freedom, then they need to sit equal as me or lower than me.
Mhm.
We employ them. We hired a private corporation to run the country, right?
Right.
We said, all the states said, all right, we need somebody to manage all this, kind of like King James did the Bible. We
Right.
need somebody to manage them. This is where your buildings are going to be. Okay. So the states can get together and say, you can't do this and you have to do this, right? You would think so.
You would think.
I don't know if I've heard of convention of states. I don't know exactly what it is, but if something fishy happens 2024 where Trump doesn't get in, and obviously, I mean, he's got 50% of the hood on his side now, and all you need is 15% of the black vote for the Democrats to never win again. That's why they're pouring people in over the border. But if the states tell the federal government, we're not doing that and we need to change this, do they have to change it? I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know either.
But when I read the Declaration of Independence, and the reason why I went to January 6th was my great third or fourth great grandfather, Thomas Stone, signed it. My dad's mother's maiden name was Stone, from West Virginia. And when I read the Declaration of Independence after what I would believe was witnessing a stolen election and COVID lockdowns and coercion of medicine and firing military and police from not being vaccinated, churches not being able to get together, like there were so many things in a row. People think January 6th was just about the election. No, it was about so much more than the election.
Yeah.
It was about all the shit leading up.
Yeah.
So before I read the tweet or whatever it was from Trump saying we're going to have a protest in DC, where immediately I just booked a room and a ticket, right? I read the Declaration of Independence for the first time, and I've read it before, but I didn't really hear it, this part of it, because it was on, like, my brothers, my uncles all had it on their wall framed, and I wasn't really into politics, but as I got into it, they would, hey, dude, read this part. This is the best document ever. Read it.
Yeah.
So I started reading it, and my question to everybody out there is, okay, if we actually were going through like a revolutionary war part two, I'm not saying we are, but if we were, who determines what's a usurpation or an abuse, and who determines what a long train is? Is it two? Is it three? Is it eight? Is it, like, how many things in a row need to happen for it to be a long train? And who's the decider of it? Because if the courts are corrupt, they're not going to say they're usurping you.
No.
They're not going to tell you, "Yep, we agree, we usurped you."
Right.
Right?
If Congress
So
is corrupt, or the Senate
how?
is corrupt, or the
Yep.
executive branch is corrupt, who,
What does a Declaration of Independence 2.0 look like? Really? Like, back then, times were different. Now we're in a digital era. I would argue that the evasion of privacy, the shadow banning, the deletion of conservative uh, sources on Twitter during the election time and all that stuff was usurpation by the government. They openly worked with Twitter. Like, that was another one. There's about 8 things in a row. And when I see all this happening, because I was working from home, I'm like, there's no way I'm not going there. It's actually my job to go there. It's not only my right to go there and
our duty.
alter or abolish. And then I hear this, and this might get taken the wrong way by some people, but it's part of our Declaration of Independence. When you hear the word abolish, what does that mean to you? Do you do that through voting? Do you do that through protesting? Like, how did they mean it?
Right. Do we go in and arrest them? Like, you know,
My question was always this: if say Ron DeSantis, or I don't know, name a governor, name somebody that's in office. If you saw that person, you're walking down the street, and you saw that person with a gun to a 12-year-old's head, are you allowed to shoot that person?
right.
If they are about to harm a child or harm their country or harm the public? Like, what can you citizens arrest
Right.
a president? Can you citizens arrest a governor or any politician? Can I just decide that they're doing something wrong, and can I cuff them and arrest them? I don't know. I don't know the laws behind that. And I asked Peter Odom, and he told me, if you were in that situation, what he thinks is you can use equal force. You can point a gun at him if he's got a gun in the kid's head. Can't shoot him until, I'm like, all right, you're not saving the
Is
kid's
that what he
life.
shoots the kid?
Yeah, exactly. So when I think there's a law that states temporary insanity, right? But what's temporary? If you zoom out in time 1,000 years, 2021 was temporary, right? So you could argue that temporary is just a moment. It could be a minute, it could be an hour, it could be a week, it could be a year, it could be 10 years. So there's a law which somebody in Texas just found his daughter being abused behind his barn by his neighbor, and he strangled the guy to death, and he killed the guy because he watched him, saw him abuse his daughter. The judge threw it out because he snapped, right? Okay, my question's this: if you watch somebody do all these things for 3 years and then steal an election after all these usurpations, do you get the same chance to? Is it not a moment in time, right?
Right.
Like, define a moment, define temporary insanity, right? So temporary to me, if you zoom out, it's all relative. It's all a scale.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a year, it could be 10 years, it could be 100 years, it could be a minute. The law doesn't state all that. So I don't know what I'm really, what I'm trying to say is that everybody that showed up on the 6th, they truly believe that their election was not only stolen, but it was stolen by capitalizing on the COVID mask mandates and all the health advisors blocking people, kicking people out. There was so much madness that happened on the lead up. And everybody before that day, they were thanking all of us for going. Thank you for going for us. Thank you for going for us. But then the next day, after everybody got arrested, a lot of those same people told us, hey, listen, I need you to not text me because we don't want to be on an FBI list. So there's people really need to not let the government scare them out of protesting again. And I think our side is really, there's a lot of good people, a lot of good-hearted people that I met that day, and everybody, that the love there, that unity that day was awesome. We need to not forget that our voices are powerful, and if we keep letting the government scare us out of walking in the streets and voicing our grievances, you get the respect you demand. If we don't demand respect from the government, we're not going to get it. Plain and simple. 100%.
Well, we've been taught to look up to our government, the federal government especially, and so therefore they are able to walk all over us.
Yep.
Because they don't respect us, but we have to look up to them. Why? Just because they wear a suit and tie and walk up marble steps every day doesn't mean that they're better than me or better than anybody. It's gross. Here's an interesting thing. I saw a tweet. I was going through some stuff, and somebody had sent me Trump's tweet from before that day, right? I think it was on the 2nd that he put it out, and he was saying there was no mention of Stop the Steal. Like, nobody called it the Stop the Steal rally.
Yeah.
It was the Save America rally. And I found that interesting because it was like all of a sudden it turned around. It was Stop the Steal, which sounds harsher, right? Like,
yeah.
Like
that's interesting. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. I'll send it to you. But it's his tweet was it's the Save America rally, not the Stop the Steal rally. So I mean, that's kind of interesting because the narrative changed, right?
Of course, it like immediately. As soon as people saw the footage they showed.
Yeah, and they're like the first tweet was from Mitt Romney at like 5:14 that day, calling everybody insurgents and insurrectionists.
Really?
Yeah.
He was the first one to use the word insurrectionist.
Yeah.
And he's a Republican. What's that tell you?
That's right.
Right. There's some rhinos in there.
Yeah.
There's a ton of them.
Remind me, I'll send you all this. It's really good stuff.
Definitely. I'm gonna get you the links for everything. I know we couldn't get to everything, but I want people to see it. But mainly, honestly, a lot of the links I'm gonna put in the description. If people just go to Twitter and you just hashtag J6 West Terrace, there's a ton of footage that we've went through, and we have about 7 people on there, amazing researchers. There's so many, and if we point out things, we try to stick with like the lack of logic. It's like, is this normal human behavior? We're considering bringing in some body language experts to study the footage. That way we can get an expert opinion on everything, because we're not, we don't have a degree and all that. But if you use your common sense and you watch a lot of these videos, it's a lot of it's not going to make sense. And when things don't make sense, they're a lie. Right?
Yeah.
Like when your friend is telling you a story and you're like, yeah, that doesn't make any, they're lying to you.
Right.
So that's the point that we hit, where we're like, and again, American Summer, you guys got to check his page out at American Summer 4. This guy he didn't even vote Trump. This isn't me just with a bias. I bumped into him and he was there that day at the same area on the West Terrace. He had the same feelings that I did in the room by what he photoed and videoed and how he felt about that scene on the West Terrace. he was started saying the same things I was saying, and we found each other on Twitter, and now we research almost every night together. We go through videos. We're trying to prep just to show people don't know, they don't see this stuff. A lot of people don't even know that there was a bomb found that I talked to in public. They're like, wait, what? There was a bomb there? There's what? But then when you tell them, yeah, and the person that found it was given $90 million by the FBI 30 days before January 6th. What are the odds of that?
Right. Oh, weird.
It's just her. She's got this new startup, and she used to work in the NSA community as an emergency management specialist. Like, she wrote a book right out of college about who's the first to act in a civil war. Think about that.
You can't make that shit up
You
at all.
can't. It's like a movie. It's seriously like a movie. So I'm telling you, just go to @bite the apple, number 3 in the word the. Just start scrolling. Most 99% of things I post are J6 related.
Yeah.
I might have a few that aren't, but there's a lot of stuff in there. I don't have a big page or nothing.
Why
But
don't you share your screen real quick and go to your profile
okay, we'll just go here.
just so people can see
All
it.
right. So
You've done a great deal of research, and I mean, there are, like you said, there are other ones out there like Tommy Tatum and Eric Clark,
oh, there's so many, and
American
all
Sniper,
all of
Gary
them are great.
McBride. Yeah.
And there's everybody's pretty much working together and trying. Wait, how do I? There we go. A lot of it. Eric Clark, honestly, Eric Clark disappeared the other day. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, his Twitter disappeared.
So
So,
this is we're trying to find Eric now to make sure he's okay, because it was right after he posted about the CIA and his Pompeo's nephew. He just he ghosted kind of. All right,
yeah.
so this is the Twitter. Just go to the pin message. Got the give, send, go there. If you go to this one, it's probably my biggest thread. It's not major, but a lot of people that are into researching January 6th. I chose to stick to the West Terrace because I was there and I'm an eyewitness for it. And because there's so much footage that I think it needs to be compartmentalized, where people need to have sections that they're kind of working on. So I don't really go beyond this area of that day. But trust me, there's enough odd stuff that happens just in this area
Yeah.
that will make you go, what the hell? No, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Just like when I was in the room, and I forgot to tell you this part. Right
And
before
this is the room that you're talking about, the one where this is Gina, right? Like up
Yep.
here.
This is right outside the room. So
Yeah.
this is the window I went in. And this is where Ryan Nichols is announcing get guns, and then he says intel from outside, inside, whatever. You can read through it.
Yeah.
But right before I jumped out the window, the reason why I did is there was a guy I looked over. Mind you, there were like 3 odd things that happened right before this, so I started feeling like it was stagey.
Yeah.
Then I look over at the door, and there's a guy standing on top of the desk in front of the door, and he's trying to peel the top of the right door open. How are you trying to open a door when you're standing on a desk in front of the door?
Right.
You can't
And
do it.
These aren't just like little like light doors, like fabricate. These are like heavy wood.
That was heavy wood door. Yeah. So as soon as he peels it back, on the top right corner, a gun, which I think was it was a smoke grenade or tear gas gun. I saw it poke through the corner. As soon as it poked through, I just, almost like when you go down a water slide at a water park where you grab the top and you kick out.
Yeah.
I just flew right out the window, almost broke my ankles on it. I kind of crowd surfed on my way out. But look at that room. I ask everybody, look at that thread, start looking into that room. We're going to have more stuff we're putting out, but the stuff there is enough for you to go, what the hell kind of room was this? what was going on in this room. A lot of odd things were there. And like we said, we don't know that we're right. My gut knows I'm right from what I felt that day and what I see. My common sense tells me I'm right. If I'm wrong about it all, I'm okay being wrong. I'm okay for any of this being wrong. But there's no way any logical human being can watch the events in and around that room and go, yeah, those were just regular Trump supporter protesters. And
Yeah.
no,
Everything seems weird, like natural. Yeah.
complete infiltration. I think my personal opinion is that probably DHS, DIA, CIA, FBI, CIs, only
Wow.
because when we're on the outside and I had a speaker, I had a guy right next to me dressed just like a state cop. He turns around and says, "Who are you guys with?"
What's that? Who you guys with? Nobody. It's us, man.
Where's George Soros? Where's Joe?
I don't want to see my camera.
Would you ask somebody at a protest, "Who are you guys with?"
Yeah, no.
No, he's like, "What agency are you with?" That's what he was asking us. And because I kind of seem, when I watch my video, I'm like, I could kind of be like this. People might have thought I was some actor.
Well, tell me if I'm wrong, but didn't you have like those moments with people thinking you were a Proud Boy
When I first got there,
when you first got?
the night before,
Yeah.
they screened our hotel and they told me I was dressed like a Proud Boy, and they had about 5 FBI agents come up and tell us they were Proud Boys Florida, where's Proud Boys meeting at, and all this. And the doorman, after they left, I looked at the doorman and I said, "Those were cops," and he gave me like this nod. And that guy works there every day. He knows what's going on in DC. But yeah, they were screening people to try to class. I think that's why I went to lockup and didn't get to pay a $25 fine and go home.
They thought you
Because
were a Proud Boy.
I think they were classifying us all, like when we got to our hotels, they were classifying us. I really believe that. And there's other people that say that too. So this whole Fed operation started on January 5th, maybe the 4th. When people started coming in, they were trying to see who was who they could infiltrate, who they could incite, who
Right.
were the loud people, who were going to be the ones that were going to be the free actors in their shitty movie that, they really, when you slow down frame for frame, you could see how shitty it is. But there's something about the West Terrace for me, only because I was there. And when I started going through footage when I got home to make a music video, which I'm going to give you the link for that too.
Yeah.
I felt it that day and in the paddy wagon, I felt kind of used. I felt like, man, like I felt like my emotion was used in a way. But looking back at it, it makes me feel the same way I felt in that room. And if the video matches up with how an eyewitness felt that day, I think that's pretty much circumstantial evidence, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope we get to the bottom of it. I think we're not going to stop. We're not until January 6th is written correctly. I don't care if I'm 80. I'm gonna keep going through everything we need to go through to get to the bottom of that day. Because if we don't tell that day correctly, we're screwed. If we turn the patriots into terrorists, America's gone. We slide into communism, 100%.
Well, and it was an emotional operation on the American public.
Yep.
In both directions, good and bad, and right and left. So they made this whole thing happen to bring the emotional.
And listen, for all the people that aren't Trump supporters out there, they do it at your protest too. They've done it. I think they did it at every BLM You had stacks of bricks in front of these places for people to break.
Right.
They do it at every protest.
Right.
But if your government is undermining your right to assemble by shutting down your protest because violence broke out, that is the grossest violation of your First Amendment in American history.
Right.
Like, I think a January 6th was that. I think there needs to be 1,000 billion, whatever that is, lawsuit against the government. 1.7 million people were there, they say. I don't know if that's accurate, but
I believe it.
if the government incited violence through private CHA companies, which I think, just like the whole private perversion of law happened with
Right.
you got to wear a mask in Walmart thing, I think they use these layers of plausible deniability and protection through these private entities.
Yeah.
So if the government, if we can somehow prove, which I don't know if it can be done, but we're going to keep trying. If we can prove that the government incited violence on January 6th, it's got to be the grossest violation of the First Amendment in the history of America.
Right.
It's
Well,
got to be.
I mean, you can see that it's entrapment.
Yep.
There's complete and total entrapment for everybody. You see the
Yep.
cops telling the undercovers,
Yep.
telling people to move forward, keep going, keep going. It's entrapment. Come on
Here's-
inside the building.
Here was
Come
I was
inside the
told.
building.
Here's what I was told when I said that to my lawyers. They said entrapment is not a crowd thing. It's a personal thing.
Yeah, you know
I
what?
was asked.
They pulled that right out of their ass.
Yep.
That's bullshit.
I was asked, did an FBI agent tell you directly to go in? Then did you say no? And then did he convince you to do after you said no? That's what I was told when I was considering an entrapment defense for trial. And so I'm like, wait a minute. It says in jury instruction, it doesn't say that it has to be through words. It could be body language, right? So if my grandmother is sitting home alone and 80 people surround her house and start chanting something, so she goes outside and starts chanting with them, was she influenced? Like, there's a point where when a crowd is so massive, you can kind of skirt the rules of entrapment according to the courts, because you're like, well, we didn't entrap you. Other people got excited, and then you saw them get excited, right? So there's these layers of protection that they have.
Right.
It's a lot like how the CIA and the military work, really. I think the military honestly might have been the ones there. Part of me feels like it was some kind of operation, but it's just odd to me that when you think about entrapment, it's defined in the jury instructions, and this is why I couldn't go with that argument, as a personal thing. They say, did an FBI agent say it to you? Did you say no? And did they convince you the opposite of what you wanted to do? Right? But if you read the laws of entrapment, I almost consider going to court just to change the case law, honestly, because I think entrapment can be induced by body language. Body language is 85% of human communication.
Right. And they won't let you know who the FBI agents or any kind of police undercover anybody is in the crowd.
Yep.
So how do you know you weren't influenced in that way?
And which is odd in my case, the guy that took the picture in my statement of facts of me going through the window, who fake splashed his face and never got maced, he's not identified.
Doesn't make sense.
The dude's not identified.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
like
truly,
the first, yeah, go ahead. Hank.
I truly think he was probably somebody that wanted to be hired by the FBI. What happens at these big events? I have a cousin that's a police
Recruiting
officer.
process.
Yeah. So they say, hey, we got a big event going on. We need you to do this. I have a cousin that's a police officer, and he told me on the 4th of July, like 8 years ago, he couldn't be at the party. He said, I got to go help out and do a drug buy at this carnival. So I said, why? He said, well, because I'm trying to be hired. They basically, you got to help them out.
An audition.
Yep. So I think there were probably people there, like the guy with the camo hat. He might not have actually been a Fed yet, but part of me feels like he was like a wannabe Fed. And I mean, you look at him, he kind of looks like he's not a Fed yet.
Right.
And I think they either used, or all of them, just like the guy asked me, who are you guys with? I think there were multiple organizations there, and there were so many people helping them that signed NDAs or that were helping out for less of a sentence and shit they were already facing, stuff
Right.
like that.
Right.
The
Or
more
they,
you look into it, the odder it gets. I'm telling you, people really need to look into the West Terrace, because I think that's where that push, where they said, "Oh, there's a breach," and everybody heard it in the crowd. That push led up to the West Terrace. That's where Ray Epps was on that back.
right.
The whole Ray Epps thing at the first push, that
Right.
was the beginning of the whole West Terrace push. Right, all those people went up into where the window that I went in. So
Right.
there was, in my opinion, there was a lot of government agencies. I mean, think about it. Are we really going to let that many people that close to our capital without having some kind of agency or FBI in
Right.
the crowd? Of course they
not.
were in the crowd,
Yeah.
right? But if they're in the crowd fraudulently, which in the jury instructions for entrapment, if they dress and act fraudulently, it's still entrapment.
Mm-hmm. Of
I brought that up with both my attorneys. They shot it down.
course they
But
did. Yeah.
if there's lawyers out there, please look into that, because we need to be able to prove that entrapment can happen through body language, and not only language, because language is only 15% of communication, right? So words don't really need to happen in a crowd like that.
Right. And I know I've spoken about this to you before, but when you're watching the footage, there's actually one J6er that used to belong. He was in the military, and he would perform these kind of operations.
Yep.
Where they would go and they would. It's basically like sheep herding, right?
Well,
knew
they
what
call
to
the
do.
term sheep dipped. If you look up, there's a documentary about the Oklahoma bomber,
Mm-hmm.
and how he was sheep dipped into the CIA. So how it started was in Vietnam. We didn't have jurisdiction, I think, after the war or something like that. And so basically, when America doesn't have jurisdiction in a country, how they can legally get a soldier into that country to do intel and kind of psychological operations. How you get a soldier into the country is you sheep dip them into the CIA, and it's usually the people that are like, they blow out an ACL as a Marine, or they have, like, they're being kicked out of the Marines, and they find them another job, right?
Right. Or they
And
have a proclivity of some sort of mental
yeah,
way of thinking
yeah,
that they are able to do that kind of a mission or whatever.
they know. I think some of that might have happened on the 6th. It's far-fetched. It's probably one of my deepest far-fetched ideas, but going through the footage and knowing what I know about the whole process of sheep dipping and all that,
Mm-hmm.
it does seem like it might have happened on the 6th. But I'll leave that open. Like, I'm not gonna say I know it, but it does seem like some of that might have happened,
Sure.
especially when you look into the fact that Ryan Nichols, Ashley Babbitt, Jacob Chansley, and another guy, they're all ex-military, right? Which
72
ex-militaries,
72% of the J6ers are
yeah.
military. So
So I don't. It's a far-fetched idea. I really am not sold 100% on that in my mind, but I do think that we need to consider all angles for that day, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
my main thing is that I beg people to go to that thread, go to the J6 West Harris thread, just
Yeah.
go through the videos and look at the comments that people make, and think about it for yourself. Just watch the video and comment what you think, and
Yeah.
add to it. Just what, if your idea is what an idea needs to be said about what you just watched, look at and cross reference everything, and just think about what actually happened that day,
I
because
think it's
it's,
important that everybody ask questions,
yep, just
right?
ask questions. Yep.
It's
Bite
it doesn't matter what side you're on, ask
bite the
questions.
apple. Bite the apple. Ask a question, because the apple leads to all knowledge of good and evil,
I
right?
love that.
So I
Yeah.
think everybody needs to ask more questions about that day, and if they don't, like, talk about it with the people that you're at work with, or because there's so many people I meet they have no idea about a lot of the stuff, and I'm like, wait, you don't even know there was a bomb that day?
Right.
Like, how do you didn't even people work 40 hours, they go home, they watch Lester Holt and Legacy
If they
News.
even do that, if they even just, they want a mindless stuff, so they'll put on like the Real Housewives or something,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
people are lost, and if we don't
Yeah.
inform them, they're not going to know. So
No,
that's why I appreciate you having me on, because
of
more people need
course.
to know about this. They really do.
So how can people support you? I know we have a Give Send Go.
Give, send,
Um,
go, Free Johnson, / Free Johnson.
yeah. So givesendgo.com/Free Johnson.
Oh, it's / It's like a double entendre.
Uh, so we've got that, and you've got sentencing coming up.
Sentencing is July 22nd. What we're trying to do is raise funds um for representation at sentencing. Because if I don't raise enough, then I got to go in there alone. So which I could probably face more time if I do, because I'm not a lawyer, you know.
Right.
But I got a PSI interview where I got to interview with some probation officer or something.
That's when
that-
that's when they basically tell you to bend over
yeah.
and take it, because they're gonna ask for your financials. They're gonna ask.
Yeah, I noticed they have your credit in your bank accounts.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put NA on all that.
Yeah.
That does not apply to my sentencing.
Yeah, like they're in the majority of these sentencing memo or sentencings, they're not allowed to apply for credit
Really?
without permission. You have to get permission to apply for credit. So if they deem that you don't have the ability to, buy a car or
While you're on
get a
probation?
credit card.
That's sick.
Well, it's supervised release, right? So most of them are getting their sentences of the prison term, and then after that, their supervised release / probation. So they get visits, they have to turn in their financials every month. They cannot apply
Every
for
month?
credit every month.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Lock me up now, because I'm not
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, and
That's
I mean, it is
ridiculous.
so overreaching. It's disgusting. You get pulled over, you have to report to your probation person and let them know that you had an altercation or an incident with a
Yeah,
police officer.
negative police contact. Yeah.
Right.
So hang on. They control what loans you can apply for?
Yeah.
This sounds like China,
Yeah.
like a social credit score.
Yes. Sure
That
does.
is weird. That is super weird. I haven't went through the whole thing yet, but
Yeah.
that sounds
So-
really odd.
Yeah, so if you don't have a car and you need to get a car, and the only way you can do that is get a loan, you gotta ask a question, or you have to ask permission. You have to ask permission to go outside of your designated area.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
use
that's
for
that's
about
been a thing.
90 days, and then in order to leave, your county or your state, you still have to get permission. Like, it's just,
So if I go apply for a car loan while I'm on probation and don't tell them, I violate probation.
if that's part of your supervised release, yeah,
Oh my God, that is so
Yeah.
ridiculous.
and they can lock your ass back up.
This whole thing needs to be reworked. All of it.
Yeah,
From
Yeah.
the top down. All of it needs to be readjusted and reworked, because it makes no sense at all.
it doesn't.
Most of it.
And it's sad, because we've been, blind to this. And I find this to be the silver lining of this whole J6 thing, or one of the silver linings, is that we are now seeing what has been, what some of the communities in America have been screaming about for so many years, about prison reform, and how,
Yeah.
how they're being treated. These guys are going inside, and it's just a secular, or, it's just endless.
Man, I had this old 58 maybe year old black dude in jail when I was in Pinellas County, and he would just stand by his bunk and dance every day, right? And anybody that talked to this guy, anybody that talked to him, he would just start yelling at him. Everybody was afraid to talk to the guy, right? But his last name was the same last name of the dude that got arrested for stabbing me about 8 years ago. So I went up to him and I was wondering if he was related to him. And I said, "Hey, are you related to Jeffrey Gilliam?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's my cousin. He's in New Haven, Connecticut, where I'm from." So I was in jail with the guy that was related to the guy that he got arrested for attempted murder. And the next day, because I showed him attention, or like, he got along with me. So he didn't yell at me. He yelled at everyone else. But he comes up to me the next day and he goes, "Hey, are you one of those dudes from the Capitol?" He said, "I think I saw you on TV." He said, "Are you like one of the main guys?" And I'm like, "No, dude, I'm not a main guy. No, I'm not." So he goes, I said, "Yeah, man, you know what's crazy is I got pulled over in Lago, Florida, and I heard on the cops' radio that I was possibly a terrorist organization." And you know what he said when he looked at me? And this ties back into what you said about before. He said, "Now you know how we felt for years. You are experiencing what has happened to us for a long time."
Yeah.
And that's why I think that's why I tell people, even with the Palestine protests and that fake window break-in with 100 flashes, they are undermining everyone's protest. They are pushing everyone through the judicial system, railroading you. If you don't got 200 grand, 100 grand, whatever it is, federally to protect yourself, and even those people, they're still doing time.
Right.
The lecturing guy paid 100 grand and did 6 months.
Right.
You know, like, even when you pay for a lawyer, they're still railroading.
Yeah. And this
So-
plea deal bullshit is a racket. It is a complete and utter racket.
Mm-hmm. It is. Totally is.
People pleading guilty to charges that they don't even have, like, that they're not even guilty of, in
Yeah.
order to not have a higher sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Or
That's what I was told. Exactly what I was told.
it's gross. It's gross, and I don't understand what it does for, the prosecution or the DA's office or whatever. Like, do they get extra money because this guy pleaded to an extra charge?
I think every courtroom should have a libertarian, a conservative, and a Democrat in it as a judge. There should be 3 judges in every room, because having one judge, and he could just have a shitty day, right? And just give harsh sentences that day and cost people years of their life.
Right.
Like, there needs to be a better process to it. I don't know what it is, but that's the first thing I can think about is you decentralize. I don't know, maybe you go off of, I hate to say, I think AI is scary, but I think it should be used maybe as an assistant to case law and to statistics and stuff like that. But there needs to be more than one brain as a judge.
Yeah.
There should be at least 3 brains as a judge in each courtroom. But then you get into, how do you afford all that? Or just stop arresting people for dumb shit.
Right. Why do we need all these courthouses and all of these judges? And why are we having to circulate the DC jury pool, which is illegal, by the way? Why are we having to circulate it? Oh, because we've arrested so many people and we don't have enough people to be jurors.
Yep.
And so we're just gonna, make them sit on another what?
So and that's where we get into the talk of defund the police, where the right and the left actually agree. We're like, all right, less FBI, and they're like, oh, less cops. What do you think FBI is? They're federal cops.
Right.
So we're saying the same things, but there's still, and I think it's happening where the side, like the smart people from each side, are starting to figure it out. I know every person that I met in jail that wasn't white, they love Trump. Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Black people, they all love Trump.
Well, the guy, all the guys in the prisons right now, not all of them, but most of them are like superstars in these prisons. Not superstars. I don't want it to seem like, but they're they're very much well liked and held up because they're Trump supporters in these prisons.
Yeah. And the same thing happened to me in Naples when I was arrested. The guard gave me extra meals. He made everybody wait till I was done eating to let them back in their cell. Like, and
Wow.
when I got booked in, the CO that patted me down gave me a double fist pound and said, "We're gonna catch those fuckers. We know that they stole the election."
That's
So
awesome.
there's COs and cops that are on our side.
Yeah.
There's military on our side. There's CIA maybe a little bit on our side. FBI too. Like,
Yeah.
my question to the agents that work in these 3-letter companies, why, to me, if you're not calling out the bad ones, you're a bad one.
Yeah.
So you're basically, you're a cop, so you snitch on the public, right? So why are you snitching on your own people? Why aren't you snitching on the people that are corrupt within you? And
Right.
I dare you to. You need to. If you don't, then we're all screwed. And then your family and your sons and your granddaughters, they're all screwed too. So you think you're just doing your job like some brown coat, where I'm just doing my job, I just want to get my paycheck and go home. But these feds need to start coming forward. These agents, they need to start whistleblowing. If they don't, then nobody, the people in the middle, they're not going to believe it. They're not even going to hear it if it doesn't happen. Because even though we're this deep in the community, there's people that have no idea about most of this stuff, you know? And hopefully things like this reach them where they watch it and they do their own investigation and they realize, if we don't tell January 6th the right way, your granddaughters are going to be existing in communism. Communism is sliding in. If we don't make this election, America's done. I really believe that America's gone.
Yeah.
It's already halfway gone.
Yeah, they gave us a constitutional republic if we could keep it.
Yep.
And at this point, we haven't kept it.
No, because
When-
people
when-
have been punked out of protesting ever since January 6th.
Yeah, well, they've made us believe, as growing up and everything, that we are a democracy and we're not a constitutional republic, which are two totally different things. We're a constitutional republic with a
They're evil. They're
it-
evil.
yeah,
It's truly a spiritual battle. And listen, I'm not like,
it is.
I'm open to all people's religions and all that, but there is something going on, not only in America, but worldwide,
Around the world. Yes.
that is a battle of good and evil. And if you don't feel it, you need to take a day off and be in tune, because you're working too much.
Yeah.
Because
amen to that.
there's some evil going on. Definitely.
Well, excuse me. I think that's a good note to end on, because
Definitely.
I'm a believer that God wins, or that God has actually won already. But I know that we're gonna find a good ending to this. I just believe it.
Of course.
I believe in humanity too much, I guess.
The light always shines through.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does. It always does, and it will. It will.
Yeah. The darkness is
and
absence of light, and we need to keep just shining.
just shining, telling the truth, and critically thinking, and just speaking out. Just speak what you are thinking and see and witness and feel.
Yeah.
That's
Have
all
conversations, right? That's my big thing. Start a conversation.
Yep. Open discourse. We need more of it. We definitely need more of it. Thank you so much for this. Like, this was so awesome talking to you.
You
I could
too.
talk to you for like 8 hours, I swear to God.
I know. Definitely. All right. Well, I'm gonna play your song on right after this. So
Okay.
when we close out, I want to thank everybody for coming in and joining on and listening to Andrew's story, and get involved, start a conversation, ask questions, look at stuff, and keep waking up, because there's lots to see. Andrew Johnson, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm so blessed to have you as a friend now, and we're gonna just keep fighting this shit
Definitely.
till we win.
We ain't going nowhere till it's over.
Yeah. So givesendgo.com/Free Johnson. And
Not like that.
no. But thank you so much, Hank.
Thank you.
There's no curfew in America. You can be outside in public anytime you want. Don't tell me when to go home. We're not leaving until you fucking leave. I'll sit here all night. Pay taxes for this fucking concrete right here. There's no curfew. Fuck your curfew. We own this fucking land. Not you. Not you.
We showed up on the 6th, we don't call it quits. Ballin' fists, all are pissed, it was all a risk that we had to take. It's like it had to break to shatter snakes and fakes and have the bat erased. It only broke cause they had a base. A bunch of dumb sheep saying that they're woke but not that awake. All I see are cattle, tamed, slow rules, scatterbrained, deranged lames, out of faith. Their power's only great when they collaborate. We're all dangerous alone too, but fresh out of fake race bait. Clips of only blacks pushed out of face. When every race is at an average rate, we affected. But their minds are placed in a tragic state. In some outer space, fabricated fake, sad and magic, imagined place. And they all need attention. They put a cage around the man they say we elected. Barbed wire, completed fences. They stole the election and deleted tweets where it was being mentioned. They're all thieves that need to be arrested. And now we're being questioned cause everything we're seeing seems reinvented. Peasants being led to being tested. Sheep getting free fries to be injected. Only still to be reinfected. Let it be a lesson. The next thing they take after speech will be your weapons. But they can meet the whole fleet of mean, aggressive, mistreated, reckless, redirected, forced to be offensive, heated team of veterans. I'll put these squares in their place, dropping L's on them like I've defeated Tetris. Tetris, Tetris, Tetris.
For this fucking concrete right here, there's no curfew. Fuck your curfew. We own this fucking land. Not
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. Need you now to go where too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
Well, freedom can't be reinvented. They sold the top and tanked the whole economy to reinvest it. This ain't that weak impression that you keep projecting. These are methods of suppression that are actually impressive. They turned the cycles up to 43 to read the testing. And to show the vaccine's effective, they set it back to 17 so it won't be detected. To keep both disease and these votes from being questioned. They use double speak to redirect it. One day you'll be freed and see an exit from the three-dimension BMX trick, see an end to your weak amended PMS and sheep that seek to be offended. We got shit to fix and you can get the fist, so toss me the wrenches. They feed them tension and repeat a message. The shit is sick but awfully expected. It's all mystery now, but how many times has history been falsely cemented? Maybe it's not meant to be said with energy and passion, but all I see is pathetic acting instead of action. And all I know is when things happen in baby steps, it's like they never happened. You faggots that have me clapping instead of rapping. Post-dramatic, patriots have close to had it. Been so attacked and drove to madness. They're gonna crack and start going at shit, just give them a reason. You'll get 8 like Drew Brees and 2 threes and a 2 and chewed eating. Kids in cubes reading, wearing it, heretics, true heathens. They shut the whole world down for flu season. It's like these Karens are scared of a variant when I'm airing it. Say graces, we ain't racist. We just hate authoritarian parents and safe havens made of fake narratives. Now face me and hear this shit, I'm basically a therapist. And all you derelict embarrassments that hate to be American need to see they're trying to take our nation, and the only way's making patriots the terrorists.
War has been declared on you. War has been declared on you. Anybody who questions the election results, you are being classified as a terrorist. As a terrorist. Everything that would need to be put in place for something really bad to happen is being put into place right now. To break the American spirit. The American spirit. If you can destroy everything that one can take pride in, everything worth fighting for, then there will simply be no fight because everyone will be too demoralized. Too demoralized.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home now. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. Need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now. We need you now. We need you now. One day, one day, one day. Oh, one day, I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. Need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver, and we decide where it should go and how fast. Our Constitution is a document in which we the people tell the government what it is allowed to do. We the people are free.